Welcome back, everyone. Got another live show going today. Dan's here joining me for a weekly live.
Yes, sir. I'm happy to be here. Forgive me if my hand is like this, if I look like I'm posing. I just got tattooed, and if I put my arm down, I'm going to squeal like a little pig. So I'm going to be posing for the night. But what's up, dude? Happy to be here.
Yeah. Thanks for joining. It's Friday. It's an off day. And you know what an off day means?
We get to do
Giants
this.
can't lose today.
That's who. Try to be optimistic, man.
Yeah.
But you're not wrong. You're not wrong.
Yeah. Oh, man. Yeah. Right out the gate.
Right on time.
Right
yes. I love it.
Join, Grand. I love it.
Amen to that, brother. And the next.
Oh man, hey, that's my boy.
That's his favorite. And Slate is my favorite.
Giant right there, Nick Ahmed.
That's hilarious, man.
Also known as players I would never, if we were on Jeopardy, it would be under the category guys I never want to see play for another inning for the Giants for 1,000. Nick Ahmed.
Nick Ahmed. That's hilarious.
Oh man, that's great. All right. What's up, Mark? Welcome in. We're gonna let people filter in for a second, and we'll get going on the Giants talk for the week. And Grand, hey, I didn't forget about your request to do a keep sell for minor leaguers. I have kind of an idea. We have Ricky. He'll probably be jumping in the chat here. He's going to be joining me in a week or two, and he's big on the Giants minor league system too. So I might put one out myself, and I might push it back to when he's on here doing the live, and we might just kind of play that game while he's on.
Ricky's really good with the minor leaguers. That's a good idea. I never thought about like a keep or sell thing with them. That's cool.
Yeah. It's for me, it's pretty like I'm gonna have to it's not as simple as keep or sell. I have like categories where it's like do not trade under any circumstances, and then pitchers that probably would need to get traded in a big deal that I'm willing to move one. Maybe I'll have my preferences on who we don't move, but
and then the untouchable unless it involves Kyle Tucker or something like that.
Yeah.
I know it is.
There's Bryce Eldridge, who's basically untouchable unless you're getting like Julio Rodriguez back.
Yeah, exactly.
On his deal, or Ellie. Like I ain't moving him. But yeah. Mark, no, I haven't heard any trade rumblings. I'll let Dan tell if he's heard anything yet, but I have not.
It's crickets right now, but hopefully
a bit early.
Yeah, I'm still undecided on whether they're going to lean towards the direction of buying, selling, or just standing pat at the deadline. I don't want to see something like last year where they were far on blocked Elliot Ramos in favor of AJ Pollock. So just none of those types of moves. Anything else to be happy with.
Yeah, no, I feel it, and we'll get it. We'll definitely get into some trade. The Giants, where they stand, what they need to do going forward, all that jazz. We're gonna start off though with
Sorry, we're gonna Alex Caruso. Come on, we gotta be nice.
Hey, you and I are being nice. It's the people.
See,
I love it.
They can't leave comments after the fact.
Oh God, that's awesome. That's fantastic, Mark. But we're gonna start off with the Giants the previous week, which started off with an embarrassment of a series against the Angels, and it continued with an embarrassment of a series against the Cubs. Now, I'm not trying to have like that loser mentality of blame the umpires, but I am going to go ahead and just point out that during that Cubs series, they got hosed each game by the umpire crews. So it was brutal. Just another advocation for, bringing the challenge system in. I mean, the fact that they were pushing it on the post-game shows, I think, says it all. But, that is still a bad series. They missed many opportunities. Guys couldn't get out of innings. It was pretty rough. Waffles, I know we've talked about this a little bit. You're dead on. I mean, there's like 5 sellers. Or there's gonna be like 4 or 5 sellers around baseball, but we'll dive in on that. And that's kind of where there's an opportunity for the Giants if they're willing to, sell some guys. But, with the awful National League, they're going to be like 2 games out. they could be 10 games under 500 and they'll probably be 5 games out. I mean,
Yeah.
they're not going to sell.
Yeah.
So brutal.
Yeah.
But yeah, so they lost 2 of 3 against the Cubs, and then unfortunately, on a day that I felt like they should have been playing, like it meant the world to them. They lost the Rickwood game, which was disappointing. I'm gonna have some comments on one in particular player on that game, but
can't wait for that.
Oh, I'm sure you know who too, and a particular mechanic that's out there.
Oh, I can't wait for that.
Yeah. So, yeah. All right. What were your thoughts on last week? I mean, it's pretty rough, but
yeah, I mean, there's some positives to take away out of it. We're not going to be overly negative about it, but like you said, that one game in particular where we were just screwed by the ump, that was insane. And it's one of those things where it's like, it's not that it was just like, one of a bad night. It was literally statistically the worst graded umpire scorecard of the season. It was like 26, 27 missed calls. He had like a 73% strike percentage. That's awful. So it's one of those things. And I understand, a lot of people are like, oh, don't take the human element out of the game. It's like, well, we're not putting a literal McDonald's kiosk behind home plate. There's still going to be an umpire. It's just introducing that new ABS challenge system, which I think is just a win-win across the board. So I'm all for it. The rumblings are that it might not be until 2026. So I mean, hopefully that's the case. I feel like it'd be a great addition to the game, but no, just in general, going back on the series, there's obviously RIP Willie Mays. That was like one of the most gut-wrenching parts of the entire series and of the season as a whole. And I was hoping it would light a little bit of a spark, especially going into Rickwood, having that extra added motivation, win for Willie. And they mounted a late comeback with that, but it just wasn't enough. So yeah, just overall, I mean, I think we can rave day in and day out about Elliot Ramos. I think he deserves to be an all-star. I think he's turned into an absolute phenom, and it's a joy to see after him being blocked for so long. But there's a couple other guys that deserve what the bird left on the tree. So we're gonna dive into that a little bit as well. But no, there's some ups, there's some downs, but overall, I think we need to start having a sense of urgency. Like, hey, we're going into July, so shimmy was the highlight.
Shimmy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah. Dude, Ramos is so good. It's been so much fun to watch. And I mean, he might sustain it. He might not. I mean, who knows? I do think what he is doing is sustainable. I mean, I put out a whole video this morning for anybody that saw it. I mean, I went and paced out his 162 game pace. He's played 39 games with 10 home runs, 35 RBIs. The 162 game pace is 41 homers and 145 RBIs. It's insane. And yeah, I know many people might come in and be like, hey, he's not going to play 162 because, obviously he didn't start till mid-May, which I then did the math on. Okay, he could play a maximum of 125 games. His 125 game pace this season is 32 home runs and 112 RBIs.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
As long as he doesn't go into a slump.
Yeah.
If he breaks the 30 home run drought.
Yeah.
Yeah. That'd be wild.
In a month and a half short of a full season. I mean, that'd be insane.
That's And it's entirely possible. He's sitting at what, 11 right now?
10.
11 or
10.
Is it 10? Okay.
Yeah.
10 or
11.
And
if you count what he hit in Sacramento, he's at 18.
Yeah. That's
in mid-June.
Yeah.
And remember when the report came out there earlier in the year where it was talking about how he's not tapping into his pull power, so he's not going to reach his potential. And it's like he's hit 2 opposite field home runs and 5 home runs to center field.
Yeah.
He clearly doesn't have and especially at Oracle, he clearly doesn't have a problem hitting it out to center. Day game, night game doesn't matter. So
just so light 430 feet to center field, no big deal.
Yeah. That's gonna That's gonna leave Henry Park. I would say he is I'll call it the productive leader of the team.
Yes.
He is carrying the team right now. I don't think he's a leader in the clubhouse right now. I mean, regardless of what we think of different players play, guys like Tyro Estrada, Yaz, Webb, Chapman, these are the guys that have pedigree that they're gonna be the leaders. But I do think the one thing that Ramos has going for him going forward is the fact that he is bilingual.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
I think that's gonna be valuable. I mean, and he's a guy that's gonna have gone through the ringer and gone through the struggles and got jerked around, got sent on the taxi squad, got yo-yoed, however you want to put it. He got blocked by AJ freaking Pollock. He got, he
Waiting
got
that goal.
treated like an afterthought by an organization for years and got over 1,000 at bats in AAA and came out the other side and just grabbed a death grip on an outfield spot. So
Yeah.
when some of these other young guys come up and next year, the following year, even, a guy like Matos this year, Ramos is going to be a guy that can easily pull that guy aside and be like, dude, do your thing. Like you can't get too up or down when they treat you like this. Like he's the kind of guy that, you want around these guys. So
No, yeah, for sure. And there have been rumblings or reports that he's stepping up in more of like a leadership role on the team,
mhm.
which is great to hear. But like you touched on, he's not necessarily like a tenured veteran. Those are always going to
Yeah.
be by default, the leaders of the team, quote unquote. But just the fact that he's stepping up to try and help and try and mentor, and as you said, he can use his experience going forward, to try to impact some of the younger guys that are going to be coming up, and that the whole fact that he's bilingual is going to be huge. Because I mean, the only reason Wilmer Flores has a role on this team is because he's a Spanish mentor. So I mean, you can't really use that excuse anymore. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think he has all the makings at this time to be like a franchise cornerstone player. And I think bearing any weirdness that goes on, you can see him develop into that team leader over time.
Yeah. And the production, like I don't think he's gonna hit 300 forever. Like I don't necessarily think he's a 300 guy. Um
Like too
I
much swing
think
and miss.
too much swing and miss. If now that's not to say that maybe in a year or two working with Burl and these guys and maybe in a
Just
year or two,
not
don't
not
listen to
Vili.
Justin Veely.
Yeah, not
Yeah, we're gonna touch on that in a little bit. But working with some of these guys, maybe he does as he learns major league pitching and everything, and he figures it out. It's possible that he gets that strikeout rate down closer to like 25%. And if
yeah.
he does, then I'd give him an outside chance because a lot of people point to his, average on balls in play, and he's hitting like 400 right now on balls in play. And they go, okay, well, that's unsustainable. And well, there's a big difference between what he's doing and what Lamont Wade Jr. is doing.
Yeah.
Lamont Wade Jr., that's unsustainable. Like, I'm sorry. And I'm not trying to take anything away from Lamont Wade Jr. and what he did this season or what he was doing up until he got hurt this season. But when you're not hitting the ball super hard, you're kind of, you're just playing the game of not great contact, but get it where they're not, and you're not hitting anything really over anyone's head. It's hard to sustain that over a long period. I'm not going to say it's impossible, but it's unlikely. When you're a
Definitely.
guy like Ramos and you're in the top, you're in the 98th percentile or whatever on exit velocity or 96th percentile on exit velocity, when you're barreling the ball and it's 100 plus off the bat regularly, those are more likely to be hits, like just statistically more likely.
100%.
So, yeah, I do think he could continue to hit it for a decent average. Yeah, as long as he keeps the ground balls to 50% ish or better, hopefully in a perfect world. It's crept up on him a little bit, but I mean, I think that's going to be the key for him is a lot more liners and a lot more getting him airborne because he's showing right now when he gets him airborne, like they're leaving the yard at an
They
alarming
go a
rate.
long way. Yeah.
So
Can I just say it kind of goes with what you just said, but kind of not. Did you see that stat that Rob posted in the community this morning? Wilmer Flores's exit velocity on the season is like 68 miles per hour, 69 miles per hour, something like that.
It's like the first percentile or something like
Yeah,
that.
I think just because you're bringing up Ramos 100 off the bat. I was just like, well, I remember that stat earlier today. That's insane. That is insane. That's insanely bad. I'm sorry. Because it's like you touched on. It's not one of those things like with Lamont Wade where he's not making the hardest contact, but it's still getting down. It's not much contact and not getting down. So
All right.
thought
Check this one out for size, everyone. All right, here we go. Here we go. Flores. It's everyone's favorite. Look at this. Batting run value, -9, 7th percentile. Let's see. Average exit velocity, 83.7, first percentile. Bat speed, 65.9.
That's the one I saw, the bat speed.
Second percentile. And sprint speed, 23.9, first percentile.
Oh my gosh.
Serious question. Who wins a race, Benji Molina or Wilmer Flores?
I mean, if we're going off Benji right now, I might take him. Thank you.
I'm talking about Benji, like 60-year-old Benji Molina.
Yeah, bro. I feel like he might have slimmed down. You pop a Viagra, get the blood flowing, and go running, man. You probably pass him up.
It's killing me. Oh, God.
Is he running backwards?
I want to see Deion Sanders doing the backwards backstep. He'd probably beat him.
Doesn't Deion only have like 3 toes or something like that?
I don't know, man. This is brutal. Hey, Benji has he's got a cycle in his career. So,
bro, I remember seeing that. It was at Fenway.
Yeah. That's not an easy place to get a triple.
Dude, it's not. I was watching that live. I was like, go, Benji. Big guy was hustling, man. He needed some of those oxygen tanks to have at Coors Field.
Didn't he go in standing too?
He did.
I think the center fielder bobbled it in the corner or something.
Yeah.
Oh, man. It's just hilarious.
Man,
yeah, I think Benji, he gets the tiebreak because he's got a cycle.
Yeah, I love Benji. Benji was awesome.
Benji was fantastic. He had the extendo bat. It was just great. I'll pull this one up for everybody just to see it. I had it on my thing earlier.
Ooh,
here we go. That's a lot of red, boys. The barrel 95th percentile, hard hit 98, average exit 92nd percentile. Sorry, I gave him too much credit, everyone. Expected slugging 94th. And this is what I like. I mean, walk percentage 76th percentile. This obviously right here, we want to see some improvement in 13th and 12th percentile and whiff and K percentage. I think that's going to get better as he's plays more and it gets more experience at the major league level. But this is what I like right here. His chase is at the 60th percentile. So he's up there with a sustainable approach. Like he's not chasing stuff out of the zone. He's making people throw him strikes. And yeah, he swings and misses sometimes, but he's not chasing a ton and he'll draw his walks. So
you know what I really like? That top right. Look at how he spreads the ball. It's not just pull happy. It's not just, we're going to hit a couple bloops in the shallow left. It's all around the field. I love that.
Like, does he feel, to me, sometimes what it feels like, especially when he gets a harder thrower? And you know what? Yeah, he was overmatched against Halsey last night, but guess what? So has everybody been. So has everybody in the league. I mean, that guy throws 102 with a nasty slider. Like, there's a reason why he has 25 straight saves. But does it look to you like when you watch him play, it feels like he almost is sitting on off speed? Like earlier in the year, it felt like he was just sitting on fastballs all day. And he was just punishing fastballs. And now when I watch him, it almost feels like he's sitting off speed. But if you throw him a fastball, he has no problem just like adjusting and just going to right field with it.
No, absolutely. And I think that goes hand in hand with the adjustments that are being made. When, pitchers make adjustments against a young hitter's got to make adjustment right back. And I think that goes hand in hand with itself. So it's awesome to see. He's confident. That's one of the biggest things. He knows that he's good. And it's just a joy to see. Let's see Lamont's Look at Lamont.
Oh my god! All right, I might have shortchanged Lamont. That's a pretty impressive exit velo.
I think it's the
He
bat speed
does
more or less 71.
yeah. Yeah, and it's not showing it's qualified, which is weird. Probably because he's missed some time. But
Yeah.
hey, you know what? Big kudos to Lamont Wade Jr. That's impressive.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I don't know. I just to me when I see a guy just racking a bunch of singles up, it just doesn't feel like it's gonna maintain. But hey, maybe he does,
The
and
thing with
that's gonna get
Lamont,
us to,
I was saying the thing with Lamont, it's not flashy, which obviously flashy isn't everything, but it's not one of those things where, like you said with Ramos, where his bat speed's 97 miles per hour and he's either going to rope one in the gap on 107 mile per hour off the bat exit velo, or he's going to smack one opposite field 420 feet. It's he's gonna make contact and it's gonna blend. That's cool.
yeah,
Lamont and Ramos lethal combo. I honestly think that'd be one of the, like, for the rest of the season at least, one of the best 1-2 punches in baseball.
yeah, yeah.
And that's going to be the best option for us,
Especially if Ramos keeps doing what he's doing, and it's gonna be what they're gonna have to end up looking at is, do you move Ramos down in the order a little bit, or do you just and I don't mean like low in the order. I mean like, do you bump him to 3 or 4? And try and get more guys in front of him that can get on base. Now, Wisely, he's hit a little bit of a wall. He still looks great defensively. I still would rather watch him 10 out of 10 times over Nick Ahmed. But, he's hit a little bit of a wall. And, do you just throw Lamont in the leadoff spot? Do you maybe go Lamont and then put Tyro at 2 and then get Ramos? I mean, he has 35 RBIs. Like, I kind of want to get him down to 3 or 4. I mean, he's not a prototypical 3 hitter, but I kind of want to move him down a hair and try and get,
That's one of those things that, especially when Matos was up, like, that was my biggest gripe. Like, he's an RBI guy and they're trying to bat him lead off. In a perfect world, to me, I would go Lamont, Tyro, Ramos, Soler, if he can pick it up, Conforto, Matos. I'd have Matos on the 6 hole. Or not, Chapman or Conforto at 5. It depends on if Conforto's hitting
Chapman needs to move down.
Under 100. Chapman does need to move down. He's not a cleanup hitter. But it's the potential's there. It's just I don't know. Like you said, obviously we need RBIs, we need runs driven in, and I don't think you need that as your number 2 hitter in Ramos. So it's tough, especially when the 3, 4, 5 aren't doing anything.
Yeah, I mean it's really hard to know what you do because you have a team full of 5, 6, 7 hitters. Like none of these guys really belong up in the order, other than Ramos and Wade. Like those are the only 2 that have really kind of earned the right to be up in the order. Tyro did really well in the 2 hole for the early part of last season. But he's kind of getting going a little bit, hitting down in the order. So maybe it's just a case of they don't want to mess with it too much. Wisely was playing well, but I mean, Soler, we've all bagged on him. I think everybody here has bagged on him. Probably everyone in the chat has bagged on him this season. I mean, at various times, but he's having a huge June.
He is, and he's batting what? Like I think it's like 312 in June, something like that.
He has like a 930 OPS.
Yeah,
which is hilarious because that's what Ramos has on the season.
Yeah, true.
But
we gotta catch up with some of these comments. Let's see. Which one are we at?
Oh yeah, here, let's get back. We've got Conforto. I'm gonna buy Victor. We're gonna jump into that here in a little bit. We're gonna talk about the the trade. Well, preemptive talk on the trade deadline and kind of where they should go, where they're probably gonna go because we have evidence of what they're gonna do. But we'll dive in that. So I'm not skipping you here, but we're jumping over to Ryan. So he said, "What's up with the Conforto?" I was calling him Can't Hito earlier. He looked great pre-injury. Looks awful since being back, but is still hitting the ball hard. Looks like a timing thing. I mean, anytime you get hurt and you miss a significant amount of time, and he missed 3 or 4 weeks?
Yeah, it's just under 4 weeks.
Yeah, it's not uncommon to come back and strike out a bunch and look like you just can't hit. Now, I think all of us were hoping that he'd be coming out of it by now. Um, the first week I usually just give guys a pass, like it is what it is. But I think we all were kind of hoping he'd be showing some signs of life, and he really hasn't. I mean, he's hit a couple hard, and he's worked a couple counts, but he just can't seem to come through in the big moments right now.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I mean, this is kind of sums it up. I mean, he was their best hitter before he got hurt. Well, Lamont Wade Jr. is there, but he was 1A or 2 or whatever you want to put him in there.
Yeah.
He was the guy doing the most damage in the lineup
Yeah.
before he got hurt. And he's come back and he can't hit. Now, we're going to segue this into a little bit of kind of what I think is going to happen with them is, Mike Yastrzemski yesterday left the game with probably an oblique injury is what it sounded like. It sounded like it was his left oblique. Melvin said, he felt it on a swing. Then he felt it throwing it in on the following inning, or the bottom half of the inning. He threw a ball in from the outfield, felt it more. And, from there, what I'll say is Luis Matos got pulled after 3 at-bats yesterday. Obviously, they have a day off today. I've had the River Cats game on. Matos was not in the lineup in Sacramento today. I think there's a decent chance he's on a plane to St. Louis right now, or he already is in St. Louis by now. So if he comes up, now I can't guarantee this is going to happen because, it's Farhan and Melvin and they do what they're going to do. But I wouldn't be shocked if Matos is playing every day and Slater gets kicked into it, and Slater basically shifts his platoon to with Conforto, because Conforto is just dying right now up there. So at some point, they're going to probably try and get him off of lefties. And then we just have to hope that Luis Matos just
sticks around.
I'm not going to say has a player of the week, but just shows he belongs consistently. Because, they're showing they're not going to give these guys leash. They're just not.
Yeah, with Conforto touching back on it, it's one of those things where it's a shame because I don't want to say I saw it coming, but I saw it coming. How he looked super, super impressive before that hammy injury, and then when it happened, I was just like, man, that's gonna derail him. He's gonna slump for a little bit. And the reason why I say that is not to be negative, but his emphasis coming into the season was mechanics. Coming off that shoulder injury last year, he couldn't have his ideal mechanics swinging on that inside pitch.
Yeah.
So they were just feasting off of him. Once he got fully healthy, he was able to utilize his body in his lower half to his advantage, and he was just nailing everything. And so now it's one of those things where with a hammy that's a little tight, it's limiting that step in, it's limiting that follow through, it's limiting that extension with your lower half. And it's just all about him trying to find those mechanics back again. So it goes hand in hand with a timing issue as well as mechanical. And hopefully it's one of those things where he can get back to how he was. Because if you can have Conforto hitting like he was in the beginning of the season with Ramos how he is right now, that's a dangerous outfield duo right there to have. So, and like you said, it seems likely that Yastrzemski is going to go to the 15-day IL with that oblique. Matos is going to get another shot. I am praying that, he sticks around this time and forces Farhan's hand. Like, hey, you gotta get rid of one of them because I've proven that I belong here to stay. And then at that point in time, I hope you pack up Austin Slater and send him to the KBO. But yeah, here's
his beautiful face.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're not gonna bite this time. Oh God. Yeah, they sorry everyone. Yeah, we've got I just hope Matos just, I hope he takes a stranglehold on a spot. I mean, that's just what's best for the club, plain and simple. We can talk all day long about, who's the best player on June 21st out there, which, I mean, it's, I think, debatable. I mean, a lot of people sit there and go, is he ready to outproduce him? And my thing has always been, he might not be the best player on June 21st, but on August 21st, he probably will be.
Yeah.
Or he very well might be. I mean, it's just this team never makes moves with the future in mind. And that's been my biggest complaint. It's just it's a constant 1 year to hell with 2025 and beyond. Like it's a 1 year, figure it out, and we'll worry about tomorrow. Which, the funny thing about tomorrow is it never comes.
Yeah.
Like it's just that's how they treat it, and it's frustrating. So hopefully Matos just forces their hand and just plays well enough to keep it. I think he's going to get put in a corner this time. He did solid. He was admirable in center field. Obviously made some very spectacular catches, a couple home run robberies, but Ramos has really held his own out there, and I think they're comfortable with Ramos out there. And I wouldn't be shocked if they're gonna kick Matos over to right field.
What's that saying? If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So here's hoping we see Matos and Ramos pretty much every day.
Yeah, I mean it'd be kind of ideal. And also, the thing is his contact ability is kind of missed in this lineup. I mean, look at the sheer lack of situational hitting they've had in the last week or two. And, I'm not even, I actually said the other day, I don't even think that the offense is the biggest problem right now. I mean, they've actually been scoring runs relatively frequently the last 10 games or so. Their pitching is a disaster right now, especially their starting pitching. So, I mean, but I do think they've failed to capitalize on opportunities. So I don't want to give the offense a pass. Like they've had opportunities and they failed to capitalize on them. And I would love to get another contact guy in there to help with that. And that's where we've been pushing for, them to try and make a trade for a guy like Bichette, where if you could get multiple of these contact oriented guys in the lineup, that way then Soler, Ramos, these guys that you're paying to do, well, I mean, Ramos is making like $700K or whatever, but these guys that you're wanting to do damage can go up there trying to do damage and not just be trying to move the line all day.
Absolutely. And I think my gripe with it is they banked so much in the offseason on counting on Alex Cobb and Robbie Ray, as if, Cobb will be back towards the beginning of the year, then Robbie Ray after the All-Star break, and then all will be well. And it's just like, that's a big gamble to take so early on. And yes, they invested, into Blake Snell, and that hasn't panned out. But besides that, you had Kyle Harrison and Logan Webb, and that was pretty much it. And so they kind of just, threw a dart at the board and just said, all right, here's hoping Dalton Jeffrey sticks. All right, maybe not. And let's go Mason Black. Oh, maybe not. Let's go with the openers. Oh, that's not really working out either. Oh, now we're, overusing the bullpen. Oh, let's go with Avila. Oh, let's go with Spencer Howard. Oh, let's go. And it's like you can't have too many starting pitchers. And I think investing in at least one more would have been a really smart opportunity, or at least having the depth in the minor leagues and utilizing them towards their position. Like Landon Roop is a natural starting pitcher. And when he started the season, he was used as a reliever, and now he's hurt. Probably could use that, if he was a starter, getting those pitches in Sacramento early on and not being a reliever up here, maybe you could have had that flexibility with Roop or some. I think it could have been handled a little differently and a little better. Because now this is the result that you're going to get. You're having an opener 3 times a week because your other 2 or 3 starting pitchers are hurt. And long term, that's not good for your bullpen. So I don't know. I think it could have been handled differently. But like you touched on, that's definitely been one of the weak points as of late.
Yeah. I mean, okay, so Frederick, the one thing I will say about the pitching staff, I don't necessarily agree that it's been just terrible injury luck, because they relied on, the Beck injury really hurts. That is the one really truly unlucky injury that I will point to and say, like, this is, this sucks, because he was really a glue guy for him last year. I will die on the hill that his importance is, I think he was a little bit underrated.
Absolutely.
the fact that he could go out there and start a game, give you 5 or 6 innings, he could give you 3 or 4 or whatever innings in a bulk roll, that he could, go in there in the 10th inning and strand a ghost runner on the road after they failed to score. Like, how many times did we see him do that? Like, the dude was money last season. And yeah, he had his rough outings like everybody does, but he was really good for them. And losing him for the majority of the season sucks. But Farhan went in to the season, and this is why this was my biggest question mark with the Giants going into the season. It's on record there somewhere in one of my old videos where it's my biggest question mark was, can the starting rotation eat up innings? Because behind Webb, they put money into Cobb, who, I'm sorry, betting on a 36-year-old coming off a major hip injury, which just was idiotic to me. And it's nothing against the guy. I like what he did last season and the year before. He was really reliable for him, but flat out, like, you can't you just flush 10 million down the drain. And even now, I mean, allegedly he's getting close, but he's also he talks about how his shoulder feels like it's on fire every couple of days. And it's like, this guy's going to be done sooner than later. And a guy that came off Tommy John and Robbie Ray. So, I mean, we can't count on those two guys. I mean, Robbie Ray sounds like more reliable that he's going to come back than Alex Cobb this season.
For sure. I think he might.
Yeah. But then beyond that, I mean, you look at what they had, and Harrison has been pretty reliable to at least get them 5+. I mean, he's had quite a few where he's gotten him 6. He's had a lot where he gets them at least 5. Jordan Hicks can't get past the 5th. Snell can't get past the 4th. Like, he's like, these guys, and Hicks has been really good. I'm not diminishing what he's done this season, but like, he's a 5 and dive guy right now. He can't keep his pitch counts down and can't get out of past the 5th inning and get into the 6th. And Winn has just imploded. I mean, he's as likely to go 3 innings as he is to go 5 right now. And it's been rough. And they don't have a ton of options in AAA right now. I mean, you have Carson Wisenhunt there, who, if we just look at his big numbers on the season, hasn't been great. I think he has like a 4.87 ERA right now. Yeah. But the pitch count stretched out in his last 5 starts. He's been really solid. I think in his last 5 starts, he's gone about 25 2/3. He's given up 8 earned runs. So, I mean, what that comes out to, like a 2-something ERA. Yeah. And he strikes out, about 12 per 9. The walks are up there, but he's in the PCL where they were using the ABS and the challenge system. So it's a smaller zone right now in AAA than it is in the majors. And we've seen the effect that it's had on Harrison, where his walks have actually dropped in the major leagues. So, he could be successful. I don't know. I think he probably needs more time, but at some point the team needs to just figure out a way to eat up some innings, because this is not sustainable what they're doing.
Yeah. Yeah. It kind of goes hand in hand with what I mentioned about, you're at the point now where you're utilizing, a bullpen game 3 days a week, on top of, like you said, with, Hicks' inability to get past 5 and Harrison's inability to, go deep in the games as well, like 6+ on a consistent basis. And it's one of those things where, you're going to see the guys in the bullpen fatigued as you get closer to the end of the season. I just think they put all their eggs in, one basket, depending on Alex Cobb and Robbie Ray. And, I think they could use a pitcher coming up to the deadline.
Yeah. I mean, all the talk of Luis Robert Jr. with the White Sox. What about Garrett? Is it Crochet?
I always say Crochet.
I never forget. Yeah, Crochet. Did you see his outing against Seattle? He went like 7 innings or something like that of like 1-run ball or 2-run. I don't know what it was, but he threw one off-speed pitch the entire game.
Just straight heat.
Just fastballs and cutters all day long.
Heat, man. He would be
24
awesome.
years old. Yeah.
And
that guy would be great.
In a dream world, Farhan's built up this farm system over 6 years and hasn't been stagnant, and he can utilize some of that, some of that farm to make a move for Robert and Crochet. That would be awesome. That would be awesome. But no, here we are.
And because we were talking about guys, I'm going to backtrack this comment from Frederick as well. Hayden Birdsong thoughts. He's only made his second. He just made his second start in Sacramento today. Went 5 innings, 2 earned runs. Pitch count ran up. I didn't see the final total on his pitches yet. I haven't dug in on that. I know it was getting up there though.
Yeah.
Walked 4 guys. I think he hit another guy as well. The command was not sharp today, but he did strike out 7. And the stuff looked good.
I was just gonna say he's got good stuff.
Yeah. He's actually the guy that I would least like to trade amongst pitchers in the Giants system. I really like Birdsong.
I would trade Winn Hunt before I traded Birdsong.
Yeah. Winn Hunt, it's one thing when you have an elite pitch, especially a changeup, like you almost don't need, because the guys will sit changeup and still not hit it. Like that's the thing. Like if you have a good changeup, just because the arm action screws with them. And the fact that he can throw 95, 96 on top of that, like he doesn't really have a good breaking ball right now, and he could really use one, but he has time to develop that. I do think he can be good. Birdsong has 4 pitches. 3 of them genuinely could be elite.
Yeah.
Including one of them that's like his splitter. If he figures out command on that thing, it's going to be possibly his best pitch. And then that doesn't even count the fact that he has a fastball that he's now shown that he can run it up to 99, and a curveball that just locks guys up constantly. So, I really like him, but he's going to need some time in Sac. Like if you're going to pull a guy up from Sacramento.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, none of these guys are on the 40 man. The only 2 guys that are on the 40 man right now are Roop, who is hurt, and Black, who is getting lit up. So
I think, like you said, if Birdsong can, tighten that command, he can be nasty. He can be a solid number 2. Yeah. Solid number 2.
I think he has the stuff of an ace. I just don't know if he's going to ever. I don't know if he'll ever realize that. I mean, Logan Webb was a guy that he doesn't have overwhelming stuff. I mean, he just doesn't walk anybody, and he gets a ton of ground balls, and his strikeout rate is good enough. And his changeup is one of the best pitches in baseball. So it's like no one expected Logan Webb to turn into an ace. So we just never know with any of these guys. I don't ever really put those expectations on guys, but Birdsong has better. I think his stuff is definitively better than Kyle Harrison.
I would agree.
And I think his upside, I was underwhelmed by the fact that Kyle Harrison doesn't really have secondary pitches right now, and his changeup is improving, but the slider has been, or slurve, whatever we want to call it, it's not been great, and he really needs to develop a good breaking ball. He's going to be.
Well, when Harrison was coming up, he was touted for his velocity and his fastball, and we haven't seen that at all this year.
Yeah, and I think that's him trying to get more length, is my guess. I mean, I'm not in the dugout with them, but my guess is he's trying to save it. I just wish we would see more reach back from time to time with him, where he tries to hump one up to 97.
I would love that.
We saw him hit 98 last season. Like
we did, and now he's cruising around 91 to 93. So,
yeah,
I don't know.
So, Birdsong, by the way, he throws a fastball, curveball, splitter, and a slider. And the slider's not anything incredible, but he did get a strikeout on it today, and he steals some strikes with it. It's just a different movement that it's going to be that pitch that he throws like 5% of the time that just changes it up on guys occasionally. So
Joe Boyd coming in hot. I agree with
I agree with pretty much both of those right now, but I think they can turn it around and get the team. They can start winning a bit. I mean, if there's anything that the last 2.5 years has taught us, is this team has a gravitational pull to 500.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter if they're too far below, they start winning. If they're too far over, they start losing.
Yeah, I don't know what it is,
man.
It's a kryptonite for sure.
So, but yeah, so we're gonna jump over to talk a little bit about the Rickwood game, and then we'll talk a little bit about Willie Mays. The unfortunate thing here is Dan and I aren't old enough to have gotten to see Willie Mays play.
Yeah.
You know, we've got to see him, a lot of interviews, him talking around the league. I do enjoy some little nuggets. I think my favorite Willie Mays nugget I've heard in the last day or two has been the interview from the 2010 World Series when they asked him what he could hit today, and they were asking him about that era. And he was like, oh, probably like 280. And they're like, that's it. And he goes, well, I am like, 70 years old or 78.
Yeah,
It was
he's
like,
like,
that
I'm
was just
76
hilarious.
years old. Yeah, I was busted up when I saw someone mention that earlier today. I was like, classic Willie. Yeah, it's one of those things. We were too young to obviously watch him, but I do remember my abuela. She's the one that got me into baseball, her and my dad. And when I was a kid, she raved about how good Willie Mays was. And then, the rest of the legends, obviously, Orlando Cepeda, she loved, McCovey and whatnot. So she raved about him and said Mays was one of the best players, if not the best, that she'd ever seen. So that's the earliest memory I have with him. But yeah, R.I.P.
Yeah, it says something when almost everybody that was old enough to see him play, regardless of the team that they're fans of, say he's the greatest.
Yeah.
Like, to me, that says something. When it doesn't matter who you root for, like everybody of every franchise that saw him play says he's the greatest. Like, that's just, it's pretty incredible. So, I mean, he is the prototypical 5-tool player.
Definition of a 5-tool player.
Yeah. I mean, he probably would have set the home run records if different circumstances, if he didn't lose 2 years to serving in the military during the Korean War. He didn't actually go to Korea, but during the Korean War, he lost 2 of his years. And all he did around those 2 years were win a Rookie of the Year and win an MVP in a World Series. He played how many games in the Polo Grounds? He played how many games in Candlestick? I mean, it's just incredible, the numbers. I mean, I saw Dan from NorCal Sports Guys. He posted a thing yesterday where it was he shared a graphic where he's the only player in Major League history to have a home run in innings 1 through 16.
Yeah, I saw that. That's insane. That is insane to think about.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's just, yeah, pretty insane. But it's sad. I mean, he was a guy that definitely, it stunk, but he also, it was pretty clear he was starting his age was showing, and no matter how you prepare yourself, it still just hit hard on, what was that, Tuesday? It was Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
Like I know it hit hard. At least I know I felt my heart broke listening to Dave Fleming trying to deliver the news.
That was rough.
John Miller, I love the fact that we have John Miller, and he basically gave a 3-inning eulogy, and he was amazing during that game. So yeah,
on the spot too. Yeah, that's impressive, super impressive.
All right, I keep the politics out of here, but this is hilarious.
I was trying not to react when I saw that, but oh my god!
Like I said, this is a no politics zone, but that's hilarious.
No politics zone, but I agree, my friend.
Yes, no lies detected. But yeah, so what were your thoughts of the Rickwood game?
Dude, I loved it. I loved the concept. I loved, the pregame. I loved the honoring. It was fun. I was getting tattooed during the whole thing, so I was in pain watching that. And I was tripping because especially when they went to the black and white for that one inning, I was like,
that was cool, man.
It was super cool. I was like, what the heck is happening here? I thought something was wrong with my phone. I was tripping. But no, it was awesome. My only issue, I have one issue, and it's that it should have been a series. I don't know why they did it for one game. Like, they went down to Mexico City last year for a whole series. Why couldn't they do a series at Rickwood? But
yeah,
but
and I get, like, it's hard because I think it was the Padres last year were the home team, so they lost. They lost. Ooh, that looks sweet.
Sorry, he wanted to see the tat.
Yeah. So they lost 2 home games. So I kind of get the argument, but to me it's like due to like they could have gotten creative. They could have done 3 2-game series with the Giants and Cardinals,
Yeah.
played 2 games in Rickwood and make it, a home and home basically, and then played down the road. They could have played 2 games in St. Louis and 2 in San Francisco. Like the league could have gotten creative on this and made it more than just 1 game, but it sounds like there's talk that they want to, you know, do more games there. And I thought it was a great, experience. Everything from the pregame stuff, some of the stories that you got to hear. I mean, Bonds just had me rolling. I mean, before the game, I don't know for any of you that saw the pregame or missed the pregame, they asked Barry what he would have done off of Satchel Paige. And, he's sitting there with Griffey Jr., who Griffey's like, oh, I'd have drag bunted because, he's probably trying to be respectful. And Bonds is like, boom, gone. Like, he just doesn't even care. It was hilarious. And and they're all laughing at him. They're like, seriously? He's like, if I don't have confidence in myself, who's gonna have confidence? So it'd be
Amen.
so. And they're like, well, even with the fences back, and he's like, yeah, boom, gone. He's like, I'm gonna hit it 480. I don't care. Absolutely. It was just hilarious, man. I was rolling. He should do TV more. He's not going to, but he's good on TV.
Nah, he's got the personality and the voice for it for sure.
Yeah, but
and the
cool
game. Yeah, cool game for sure. I just wish we could have seen a series. To me, it was like they put a lot of effort and a lot of hype into just one game, which obviously is special and memorable and historic, but it just would have made more sense to me if they did it for a series. But whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah, I agree.
Fan. What do I know? I'm a fake fan.
Yeah. He's Charles Barkley, but baseball version. Yeah. I mean, to an extent. I mean, Barkley is
pretty accurate.
Barkley and Shaq together is just like the funniest thing ever. Honestly, because Shaq just figuratively, and he literally did this, but he just figuratively dunks on him all the time. And it's just great.
That's awesome. I love that show. I don't know how we got to that topic. I love that show because it's like, even though it's halftime, you want to watch the halftime show because of them. It's hilarious.
Yeah. So I wish Barry would do some more stuff like that. It'd be awesome. He's gonna, and Barry's probably gonna have to step up a bit as kind of the face. I don't know if I want to say face of the Giants, but you know how Willie was always at, any of the big events, and Willie was always at, he was always out there sitting at the games. He was always visible. I mean, regardless of people's opinions of Barry, he's still loved by Giants fans, and I think he's going to kind of turn into that guy now that Willie's gone.
And I hate to say it because I don't want to sound disrespectful, but it goes hand in hand with what you're saying. He has to, in my opinion, step up as kind of like that living legend role now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it's one of those things where, obviously you can't replace Mays, but if you think of Giants baseball legends who are alive, the first one that comes to my mind, at least, is Barry Bonds.
Yeah. So I mean, Barry he's one of the greatest players to ever play. I mean, there was a whole talk a couple, and to me it was a little bit too soon, but it is what it is. Everybody, there was a whole discussion on like who's the greatest player alive now, and I mean you can make arguments for guys like not Mike Yass, but Carl Yass. You can make arguments for guys like him or like Bench or Pete Rose, and I think those are good arguments for those eras. I mean, hell, you can make an argument for a guy like Ichiro or even to an extent Griffey, but to me it's like you look at just what Bonds did in his first 12 years before the juice, and it's like, dude, this guy was on another level to everybody. He was so much better than everybody. So it's just I don't want to go on the Hall of Fame tangent because I've made it too many times, but Barry Bonds in 12 years had Hall of Fame numbers. And for anybody that tells me that 12 years isn't a long enough career, Sandy Koufax pitched 12 years. So that's all I'm going to say. that's it. And I'm going to drop the mic on the Hall of Fame argument right there. But, it's just, yeah. And Maddox was great. Maddox kind of had a bad postseason record, similar to Ball for a long time. He struggled.
He'll have something similar like a Kershaw. That's what Kershaw can be compared to.
Yeah.
Great regular season.
I mean, yeah.
Postseason.
Yeah. Kershaw, that guy is. I'm not going to be sad when he's gone. I'm tired of that guy beating up on the Giants. Even as he's gotten older, he still does.
Yeah. That was painful.
Yeah. But all right, so we're gonna hop over now. We're gonna kind of sidetrack back over to the back over to kind of the trade deadline. I know we had a lot of people asking us about the trades, what they might do, what they should do, what any of that stuff. And I think Dan and I we're kind of in lockstep on this one, where realistically they should probably sell. Like, especially if the season continues trending the way it is. Like, I'm sorry, I don't know about everybody. I was talking to somebody on the NorCal show the other day where it's like they're still in it, and it's like they're 4 games under 500. Like, I'm not big on chasing 82 wins. It does not do it for me. I don't care how crappy the NL is. I don't care what the playoff formatting is. It does not do it for me, chasing mediocrity. That I liked it when it was 3 division winners and 1 wild card team, because that meant the wild card race was going to be for teams that were winning like 90 plus games. And a lot of times there were teams that were like in the mid to upper 90s, because every now and then you get that division where, someone won 102 and someone won 100. Like, I liked that. Now, because it forced teams to step up and try to win a ton of games. And now, because of the current playoff formatting, teams can just sit on their butts and sit there and go, well, we have like an 84 or 85 win roster. That'll probably be good enough. And then even if they're in the Giants situation, they're like, we're 2 games out. We have a hot 2 weeks and we're right back in the second wild card spot. And I hate it to my core. It's just,
you're gonna get me on a rant here.
It's just,
because we spoke about that on our last episode, where it was like a wild card spot should be worst case scenario. Like, you should be striving to win the division, and it's like, all right, we have to settle for a wild card spot. Now it's turned into that mindset. It's like, if we win 80 games, we might sneak into that last wild card spot. And then we squeak in the playoffs and all as well. Successful season. We finished 500 or a game under 500. And it's like such a backwards mindset where I don't understand it. And my thing with the way that this team is constructed, and if you're looking at the outlook of the team, we've touched on it. There's no future. Like, what's the long-term vision look like for this team? Because farm system wise, it's the same rankings, quote unquote, as it was 6 years ago. We're signing guys this past off season who have opt-out options after this year. And then what do we have? We have a bunch of, veterans, and we can, try to keep them around. And, we have a couple young guys that might be good, and then a bunch of unknowns. And it's just one of those things where it's like, if you want to turn the direction of this team around, the only choice that you have is to sell. Like, and that's where I would go. This franchise has never been sellers. You nailed it right here. It's the sensible thing to do, but they won't. They never will sell. Yeah. They're going to either stand pat and make, a couple AJ Pollock type moves to hope to find, a diamond in the rough, or they're not going to sell anyone at all. Because in a perfect world, an ideal world, you guys can come after me. You're getting rid of the guys. Like, you're getting rid of the Nick Ammets. You're getting rid of the Wilmer Floreses. You're getting rid of the Austin Slaters. You're getting rid of, the veterans like that. Shoot, you might even consider getting rid of a Chapman or a Conforto, just so you can free up some space for the young guys, and actually look towards the future, knowing that, you're paying Conforto $36 million, and there's a good chance Chapman walks after this year and Blake Snell walks after this year. You look at the long-term vision, you capitalize on their current value so you don't lose them for nothing and get something out of it. So it's like, the sensible thing is to do that. And I think they should have done that after 2021, because looking now here at 2024, we probably would have had a pretty damn good roster if you approached it the right way. And yeah, that's the way that my mind thinks, but I'm a fake fan who doesn't know anything, so I don't know.
I mean, as soon as Buster Posey announced his retirement, that was the end. Like,
Yeah,
I hate to, and you know what? I get it. Farhan's computer, it doesn't, the dial-up just didn't quite register, and it didn't realize the importance of Buster Posey, because that's incalculable. Is that a word? It's not, it's not like it's not something that the analytics are going to tell you the importance of Buster Posey to this franchise. The guy was a winner. Like, you can't measure winners and hearts through computers. And as soon as he retired, it was done. Like, I love Crawford, I love Belt, love those guys, but like, they were not the carriers. They were not the face. They were not the guys that were the most singular important player on the franchise year in and year out.
I'll die on this hill. I'll die on this hill and say Posey managed 2021. It wasn't Kapler. Yeah, obviously Kapler's the manager, but I think Posey had a big part in that as well.
I mean, Kapler made his decisions and things like that, but Posey held the team together. Like that, exactly. He was the guy. So it's just, as soon as he retired, they should have started the rebuild process. But 107 wins, and it's impossible for them to make that gutsy call, unfortunately. I mean, I can't even really fault Farhan in a sense, because no one around baseball would have ever done it. Like, no GM would have been like, well, he retired, we're going to tear it down after winning 107 games. Like, it just never would have happened. But after 2022, it was clear, at least to me. I mean, hell, at mid-season, the trade deadline of 2022, when they were well under 500 and they didn't trade Carlos Rodon, it was clear. I mean, it's just, there have been so many opportunities for him to accumulate assets with guys at the deadline, and he never does, just like Waffle says here, where it's like, he does not sell. And it's frustrating. They could easily, move, the Confortos, the Ahmeds. They could maybe try and see if somebody would take Chapman for, I know with his contract, it makes it a little harder to move guys like that.
Yeah.
But I do think there are teams that are in the playoff hunt that would be interested. A team like the Yankees, perhaps, would probably be interested in a guy like Chapman. But, guys that we haven't mentioned that really could probably bring you something back, guys like Lamont Wade Jr., if he gets healthy, Tyro Estrada. These are guys that, a lot of people don't want to hear it, but it might be the prudent thing to do to move those guys. Or, I've brought up the Camilo Doval trade. I'm not going to sit here and pound the table for that, because I know a lot of people like Doval, but again, we're talking about things that might be the prudent move for the team. But as Waffle says, they ain't selling. They're going to sit on their hands. And then we're going to go into the offseason, and there's a very real possibility that Conforto, Slater, Yaz is a non-tender candidate. He still has one more year of arbitration. They, Farhan loves him, so he'll probably just give him a contract. But, Conforto, Slater, Ahmed, Chapman if he opts out, Snell if he opts out, and
Wilmer.
Cobb. Wilmer, I think, has a player option. And with his season, God knows he ain't opted out. But all these guys, so if you're the Giants, you might have a hole at a starting outfield spot, a reserve outfield spot, your starting third baseman and shortstop, and then possibly 2 spots in your rotation. Because, I mean, let's face it, Keaton Winn is not a starter. So just kick him out now. So it's like, so Keaton might be, he needs to change that last name. Yeah. Keaton hasn't won in like,
there you go,
2 months.
Keaton can't win. There we go.
Yeah, exactly. So it's just, you're going to have holes all over the roster. And then even if we scratch out a playoff berth, we're going into next season going, all right, do we try and re-sign Chapman? Do we go get Ha-Sung Kim? we don't know if we have any young internal options because Farhan hasn't played any of them. So it's just, this is the issue that we're all running into. This is kind of why a lot of us have been pushing for, get Matos up here. I like that Wisely's playing a decent amount. If he does really well, if he does well, maybe he's again, maybe you move Tyro and you make Wisely the second baseman, which is his best position.
Yeah.
It's where he is, frankly, every bit as good defensively as Tyro. I get Tyro's like second and outs above average, but Wisely is just as good defensively. He is so good at second base.
I'll tell you what, that Gardenome has grown on me, my friend. That Gardenome has grown on me. I wasn't a fan of him last year. Little guy's growing on me.
Yeah. He's got sneaky pop, and he gets the bat on the ball. He's not drawn a ton of walks yet, but his defense is really good, and the defense doesn't slump. That's what I'll say, is the defense doesn't slump. And if his quality of at bat is much better than what Tyro has given them. Now Tyro's heating up a little bit, but Tyro swinging at everything Estrada has, everybody got on Casey Schmidt. They started calling him Chasey Schmidt and all the different things. And, Tyro looks just like him right now, swinging at everything. So
yeah,
it's, I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do. I do think they could kind of do a 50-50 thing where they clear out an outfield spot for Matos and then
Slater.
Also make a big trade. Yeah. Well, and it's hard because the Slater one is tough because Yaz and Conforto are the issues. Like Slater, we joke about him, we bag on him, but he's a reserve guy. Like he's playing again. He's a platoon, weak side platoon guy. He's not stealing that many at bats from anybody right now. It's Yaz and Conforto are stealing the bulk. So it's a tough situation. So unless they're going to actually put Yaz in a fourth outfielder role, just dumping Slater, it's like, I don't know what that ends up accomplishing at the end of the day. As much as I do, I would make that move in a heartbeat. It's just kind of
ideally for me,
no one knows this answer. Just no one knows.
Yeah, I could go up right now and produce like Trenton Brooks, and I haven't played baseball since I was 21 years old. But no, my thing, ideally in a perfect world, Conforto gets back to just being decent or above decent. Even if it's a step below to what he was doing in the beginning of the season. Then you roll with an outfield consisting of Conforto, Ramos, and Matos, and slide Yaz to a fourth outfielder role, and you trade Slater to a Saudi Arabian baseball league.
We just found out they have a league in France.
Okay, send him to
Bivens played there.
Send him to France for a dang croissant. That's a great trade right there.
Wine and cheese trade.
Yeah, exactly. That's all I'm going to say about that. But just ideally, that'd be great. Because my thing is, you're paying Conforto $36 million. I don't think there's a realistic, world where you can either trade him, especially with how he's batting right now. You're not going to get much of anything, and you're going to have to pay most of that $36 million. And on the flip side, you're paying him so much that you're going to have no choice but to play him on a regular basis and just hope that he gets out of the slump. So that's why it's like, if you had to weigh the scale with Conforto and Yastrzemski, yeah, I know he's got like 18 mil left, but still it's way more than what Yaz is making. And money makes the world go round with the Johnsons. For instance, offensive.
11 grand.
I don't know who this guy is, but I like him.
Hey, we can be nice. The people can bag on them all they want.
I don't know who you are.
You make us laugh. We're gonna put you up on the screen, man. That's all I'm gonna say. So
I like that guy. He was 36 last season. Moving. Yeah, they could move him, but realistically, will they?
Eat a couple mil.
Is somebody going to trade for him when he's been batting 0.56 for the last month?
Yeah. I do think at some point he gets going a little bit. Phillies or Braves. You know what? If I'm the Braves, and this is, I talked about Wade. If I'm the Atlanta Braves, I would be reaching out to the Giants and trying to pry Wade from them, and then I'd
Agreed.
be throwing him out in the outfield.
Agreed.
Because Lamont Wade Jr. could be so incredibly valuable for the Braves. Like his ability to get on base suddenly when you have, Matt Olson and Murphy and Albies and, Ozuna and I mean, who else do they still try to Austin Riley, I can't forget him. Austin Riley, when you have all these guys that he's getting on base for,
Yeah.
like, it's not the Giants where we're like, oh, great, Lamont Wade Jr. walked and then he got stuck on first base because the next three guys didn't do anything. Like, this is the Braves. He would score a ton of runs in Atlanta. So
I agree.
Yeah, I think he would be. That's who the Braves should try and trade for. If I was the GM of Atlanta, because the thing I've heard is a lot of people have said, like, why would you move Tyro or Wade? Because you're realistically not going to get anything great. Because you're not gonna get a top 100 guy. I mean, you maybe if Wade comes back and just tears it up for a month before the deadline, maybe you get a top 100 guy, like kind of on the bottom half of the list. But the thing is like the Giants just need more shots in the barrel at like getting stars, and you just never know. I mean, remember they got Lamont Wade for the Sam Dyson trade.
Mm-hmm.
Like you never know when you're gonna hit on a really productive, good player in one of those moves. And they just, like I said, they just need more shots in the gun to try and get these guys, because right now, these guys don't fit their timeline. I mean, Tyro's a little bit younger. He's like 28, but Wade's 29 going on 30 this season. And he'll be going into his age 30 season next season. And I mean, what are we going to extend him and then block Eldridge? Or are we going to extend him and then be stuck with a guy in his mid 30s? That's basically a Sean Casey light type player. I can't say I know the answer, but I think it's the call to move some of these guys.
Just bring me Kobe Mayo. That's all I'm asking for.
Dude, I threw out that people were talking about trading Logan Webb, which some idiot on the Red Sox Twitter was like, if I could get Logan Webb without giving up our top 3 prospects. And I'm like, dude, are you on drugs? Like, I want to get a top 10 pitcher in baseball and not give up any of our good players. Like, yeah, okay.
Are you dumb?
I want the Dodgers to give us Mookie Betts for Wade Meckler. What's your point? Like, come on, dude. But I threw out a just kind of a hypothetical. I was like, if Baltimore said we'll give you Mayo, Kierstead, and I think it was their number 6 prospect, it's like Nobin or something like that. I'm like, what do you think about it?
About giving Webb for that? I would think about it.
It gets really hard.
I would strongly think about it.
Yeah, you could completely transform your lineup overnight. Yes, you lose your ace, but
it would hurt. It would absolutely
hurt. But it also could be I don't think at the end of the day you don't make the move. But it was just a fun hypothetical. I think nobody does that. Ryan, I hope. Okay, so John Bowden on The Athletic said that he doesn't think Bichette gets traded. And I don't know what the injury is right now. He's on the 10-day IL, but would I trade for Bichette? Yeah. Honestly, I'd build a package around Luciano and one of the pitchers. And if Toronto took it, I'd do that deal tomorrow. And then I would move. And this is where I was kind of talking about, you could kind of sell and buy at the same time. And it's sell, but really what you could do is you could take a couple of your big prospects, trade it for Bichette. Then you could go ahead and this one. Tom, back it up a little bit. We talked about Keaton can't win.
Keaton can't win, my friend.
He needs to be in the pen at best. But
he needs to be in the pen at the Mexico League, bro.
Yeah. I think he could be a decent reliever. I wouldn't just dump him yet, but he struggled. He can't start games anymore. But so what I was gonna say
back to the Bichette thing. Yeah,
back to the Bichette thing. Like, I think you could kind of partly sell, partly buy. And when I say that, I mean you could move a guy like Conforto or Yaz or Slater or whatever. You can clear a spot for Luis Matos, essentially. You can move one of these vets. You can move off Nick Ahmed entirely and get a couple of these young guys and let them play every day while also going after a guy like Bichette. And then all of a sudden, your lineup, you have a couple more contact guys. So you balance your lineup out a little bit. And you may end up with, I don't know what you'd end up lining it up, but maybe you go like Wade lead off, or maybe you keep Wisely at lead off. I don't know. Maybe you go like Wisely, Wade. No, not Wisely. Sorry, Wisely, Matos, Wade, Ramos, or something, or Wisely, Ramos, Wade, whatever. You could line it up where all of a sudden you have more balance in the lineup. They still don't have speed, which infuriates me, but you could balance the lineup out with some contact guys, and maybe your situational hitting won't be so crap.
No, I would absolutely start a package offer to Toronto of Wisenhunt, Luciano, and then just because I want to get rid of him, be like, hey, I'll give you Austin Slater, I'll give you Wade Meckler, I'll give you Luke Jackson, I'll give you Tom Murphy. How about that? That's a great deal.
Did you hear how I described Wade Meckler's routes?
Oh, you told me that last episode.
He looks like he's trying to run away from an alligator. They always tell you like you need to zigzag.
I always said beer goggles, but the alligator is a lot more accurate. Yeah.
Oh man.
He looks like, I don't even know, dude. Have you ever played? The best way I can describe it is if you've ever played sports and you're doing like a cone drill and you're kind of juking between each one. That's all you run sideways.
How many spins with the bat on his forehead did he do before the hit?
At least 6 or 7. At least.
Oh man. Sorry, Wade. Get the LASIK, bro. Like that's all I'm gonna say.
Get the LASIK, my man.
Oh, and you know what? I will say this about Wade Meckler. If he could turn into a competent defender, I think he would have value as a bench player.
Absolutely.
He can swipe you bags. Clearly he can hit. Like he's raked in the minors to this point. And he had a really great spring offensively. Like he can hit, but God, he is unplayable in the outfield right now. So that's a problem. But he's hurt anyway. He's rehabbing in the ACL now. So I don't know how close he is or far, honestly.
I don't pay any attention to him.
No. Yeah. I'm aware. I catch him for the update. I do every week. So I know kind of where they're at. And he's still listed as like their number 16 prospect. So why do they hate Sable? I mean, I hate Sable behind the plate.
Yeah.
I'd love to see him play. I'd love to see them hand him a first baseman. And
they've done it sporadically, but not consistently. Because I agree. If he played first base all the way through spring up until this point, I would much rather see Sable over Brooks because Brooks is awful. But no,
I'm gonna say this too about Sable because he did put a lot of work in. Sorry to interrupt you. He put a lot of work in blocking balls. Is Blake Sable who's better blocking balls, Blake Sable or Patrick Bailey?
At blocking balls, you're gonna I'm gonna
piss some fans off.
If you asked me last season, it would obviously be Patrick Bailey. But if you're asking me this season, it's pretty close, man. And if you don't believe me, look at the stats savant. Bailey's blocking is like a -1 or -2 or something like that. And he'll come up with an occasional cool swipe, but he's not a good blocker. No, he's got a good pop time. He's got a cool sidearm release, but he's not a good blocker.
It's the one thing that I think is holding him back from being a truly elite defender. I can live with the throws getting away from him here and there. Quite frankly, his pitching staff is not giving him a chance a lot of times at throwing guys out. I mean, his pop times are the only thing that are making plays close. And the Giants are like the worst in baseball at, stopping the running game. And I don't think you can really blame that on, Bailey. Posey had less in his career than Bailey had in like his last season. It was embarrassing. I skipped over this. That and I'm sorry, everyone, this is going to be a little harsh, but that piss poor display that he put on blocking balls in Rickwood, that's
Oh, yeah.
literally the difference in the game. They
Yeah.
lost by a run, and he missed a ball that almost hit his shin guard. It might have skimmed it, like, honestly. And this isn't strictly, like, this isn't 100% Patrick Bailey's fault, because it's really that mechanic. It's the one knee down mechanic that they're teaching these guys as kids nowadays.
That drives
It
you
is the
crazy.
stupidest. Oh, you know it. You know it.
Yeah.
It pisses me off to no end. It is the single dumbest mechanic in any sport that is being taught. I will die on that hill, especially with runners on third base. Like, I'm sorry. You cannot tell me that you value stealing strikes more than 90 feet and runs.
Yeah.
And that's what, every time they put one knee down, that's what they're telling you. They're saying, we don't give a crap if we give up a run here, as long as we can steal strikes.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
Because he had no chance at getting over. Like, you could see him try, and his like foot even like did like a little, it was like he tried, and it was like the spike was stuck in the ground because, of how he's sitting. And it's just, no
It's
lateral
weird
mobility.
It's weird because the biggest emphasis on catching was blocking for years and years and years and years.
Mhm.
That was the biggest thing. You get in your squat, you get low, you're a former catcher. You focus on blocking. That's one of the most important things. And it's this new generation type thing is you're going to go one knee. That way you can make sure that you can pop up, make a good throw. And it's a little weird.
Yeah.
They think they reinvent baseball. Yeah, it's true.
Yeah. I shared there's a thing, I think it was on Twitter that I shared it at one point. But it was months ago, because I made the joke that they needed to tape Sable to a chair with his eyes just like watching it, where it was Mike Matheny talking about blocking balls. And, back when he was playing in the early 2000s, because he was with the Cardinals. So I think it was the early 2000s on that one.
Yeah.
And he was showing the proper mechanics. And, he's got, obviously both knees up, he's sitting high, and it's just his ability to move laterally and his ability to use his body as a glove. And like, that is how it's done. And I hope to God that when they start doing the challenge system and all this stuff, where it starts devaluing framing, I hope these guys get that knee off the ground. I'm not confident they will, because now they've been taught it forever, but I hope they get that knee off the ground and they get that glove up and stop doing the glove down, glove up thing where they're moving the target on the pitcher constantly. I don't like that either, but I'm not going to go on that tangent too.
And the thing is, here's my thing. I don't have any issues with Patrick Bailey. He's been definitely improved as a hitter this year, but just defensively, I mean, yes, the stats savant has him ranked really high, but it's because of that inflation with the framing and the pop time. When it comes down to what truly matters as far as fundamentals is concerned as a catcher, that's the part where he shows inconsistencies. And that's why even me being a diehard fan, I can't, from an unbiased perspective, I can't say that he's elite and that he's one of the best catchers in the league. He's top 10 for sure, but maybe, top 12 for sure, definitely. But it's like, you can't crown him as that elite number 1, number 2 catcher in the league, let alone the National League, when those key fundamentals in catching is lacking or inconsistent.
Yeah. Like I said, I think it's the one thing that's holding him back from being the best defensive catcher in baseball. Maybe I'm too old school. Maybe you and I are too old school on this, where I cannot say that he is the best when I see the dude's a freaking turnstile on balls in the dirt. It drives me insane. And it just, maybe I'm being too harsh. Yeah.
I think we just got spoiled with Posey.
He was so fundamentally sound. And people really come out and talk about how much better Bailey is than Posey. And I'm like, defensively, and it's like, Posey was a unicorn, man. Like, do we think Bailey would win a single Gold Glove playing in a league with Yachty and Posey? Nope. I don't. Nope. No chance.
I said it all the
Yachty.
time when Posey was playing. If Yachty was in the American League, I think Posey would have won the Gold Glove probably every season.
Yeah, he'd have had like 5, I think.
At least.
Yeah. And realistically, even with Yachty in the National League, Posey should have won like 3. Because there were a few years where he lost off of name.
Exactly.
You know, there were a few years he was better than Yachty, and Yachty won it still. So, I mean, that's the hard thing with Gold Gloves. It's not truly indicative all the time, but
yeah,
you know, I can't sit there and watch Bailey and say, like, I mean, I pulled this up at one point. I'm going to pull this up really quick before we log off for the night.
now pull it up.
I'm not going to pull.
Ryan, yes, I remember Pablo catching, and it was equivalent to seeing Tom Murphy catching. That's all I'm going to say.
You know, it was nice having Pablo as an emergency catcher. That's about it.
Yeah, it was cool to have an emergency, but you never wanted that emergency.
Yeah. Remember when, hey, I'm old enough to remember Pedro Feliz catching in a game.
I remember that, bro. That was a trip. Pedro Feliz.
Man.
That's wild.
That was back when he was the emergency catcher. All right, let's see. Standard fielding for Posey. I got to find it.
Bad Axe Bourbon. Appreciate that. Cheers, mate.
Hey, appreciate you, man. Sorry, I just saw that in there. So I'm trying to find his pass balls.
Who's are you comparing?
All right, this is Posey. This is Posey. Yeah, I'm not comparing them, but I'm just gonna. How can I get rid of a bunch of these? Okay, well, it's not gonna let me, but we're gonna just share it anyway, and I'll show you guys. Buster Posey and, oh God, Baseball Reference and all their ads. Hold on. Let's get rid of all this stuff. Okay. Posey, in his career, committed 44 errors. Now, this actually counts what he did at first base, too. Oh, no. 44 was at catcher. Okay.
Yeah.
44 errors. And he committed, where's the pass balls? It was in here. Oh, there we go. Pass balls. 27 pass balls in his career.
Mm-hmm. 44,
now, 27. I don't know what Patrick Bailey's at just this season. I could probably pull that up pretty quick. But I remember looking at one point for Patrick Bailey, and he was averaging a pass ball about every 8 games.
Let me see. Yeah, I remember that.
He had like 12 or 14 last season. He was, racking up a few this season as well, but it's just like, and if you go back to his minor league stats, it's quite a bit. I mean, it's just apples and oranges here, guys. Like they're not the same. These guys aren't built the same. And, Bailey can take his pop time, but, I seem to recall Posey being pretty damn good throwing runners out. So again, I'm not trying to say Bailey sucks. I'm not doing that. I get frustrated watching that one down mechanic.
Bailey has 16 errors in a season and a half, and he's got 13 pass balls.
He's halfway to Posey.
He's halfway to Posey in a season and a half.
And actually, it's really like a season. Because he didn't come up until May last year, June.
He just hit like a full season, quote unquote.
Yeah.
So that's just
3 years into his career, he'll have more pass balls than Posey easily at this rate. So pretty rough. Yeah, Posey didn't let. I mean, Posey was just guys. We call. A lot of us call Ohtani, like his nickname's a unicorn. Posey was a unicorn. Like
absolutely.
catchers that can hit and defend like he could. And I mean, maybe unicorn's not the best way to put it because he did play in the same time frame as Joe Mauer, who was also a guy that could rake at the catcher position.
Yeah.
But those guys are so rare. So, I mean, it's just, it's just not fair to Bailey to even make that comparison. I wish people would let that one go, honestly.
I just like to use that as a counter argument when I hear, oh, he's better than Posey. Oh, really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. But no, that's what I mean is like people will come out and they'll pull Posey's name out. And it's like, guys.
Yeah.
It's like, you don't hear the Yankees. Well, I mean, maybe Yankee fans do it, but no Yankee fan should be comparing whoever their shortstop is. Volpe. I mean, prior to Volpe, it was Gregorius. No one should have been comparing them to Jeter. Like, why are we,
Exactly.
it wasn't fair to Bart and it's not fair to Bailey. Like, these are Hall of Famers. So,
Exactly.
yeah. All right. I mean, does anybody have any questions? We were going to try and keep it closer to an hour and we pushed this to an hour and a half. Does anybody have anything we want to touch on before we?
Clouds. Facts.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any last comments? Any last questions? Yeah, these episodes are always fun when like the chat's super interactive.
Yeah.
It's a blast. So shouts out to you guys who stuck around for the whole time.
Yeah. Appreciate you guys. It's a lot of fun. We'll definitely have live going next. We'll Dan and I'll figure it out. It's usually either Thursday or Friday. Ricky and I are going to do one probably July 1st. I think it's a Monday that night. We're going to do the minor league update as a live. So it's not going to have the highlights and stuff for everyone. I apologize for that, but we're going to have some fun. I think we're going to do the, Grand Admiral Shanahan there. He asked us a good question on the whole keep, sell, everything. So we're going to do something like that. We'll talk about those and do. Yeah. And as Hayden said, before you go, if you guys can, smash the like, subscribe if you're not already.
Job of the Hunt, Jackson. I'm sorry. Smash the like button, but oh my goodness. Yeah, Ryan. We call him Puke. We call him Puke Jackson. But yeah, Ryan, best player I ever saw, Barry Bonds. That's why I became a Giants fan. I was lucky enough to see him live as a kid, and it was just it was insane. But besides Barry, second best player I've ever seen was Austin Slater. So I love his face. I love his face.
Oh man. Yeah, Barry's easily the best I ever saw. I was lucky. I got to my dad and I were at 756. So that
you never told me that.
We used to go to a game for my birthday every year. My birthday's August 2nd. They were on the road. They went to San Diego before. They were on the road. So my dad gets the tickets for that game, the 7th, on August 7th. He bought it, and like we're watching him, and like he hits a home run in San Diego, and then they fly back to San Francisco, and he gets the first night off. And we were like, hey, he could do it today. And the first inning, people forget he ripped a double into right center, and it one hopped the fence. And we were like, and my thought was, damn it, that's the only pitch he's gonna see today. That's it.
Yeah,
and then Baxic or whatever his name is, he made one more mistake to him, and Bonds hit it a long way. So it was pretty sweet. That was back when the team sucked, and it was just electric in that building. It was one of the coolest things.
That's so cool. Yeah, first home run I ever saw live was Randy Winn. How weird is that? I saw Barry Bonds live in action, and I saw Randy Winn hit a home run, not him. So you have a much better story than me.
Yeah, I saw him. I saw him have a 2 home run game on like a cold day. It was a cold day game where it was all overcast. I saw him have a 2 home run game where he put one in the Cove, and then I saw that one. I saw 3 total from Bonds, and I saw so a couple other guys back in those days were fun to watch. I was a big Ray Durham fan back then.
Durham, yeah,
I liked Durham back in those days.
Scout, please, no. Yeah. Did I ever tell you the story? Before we go, did I ever tell you the story of how Kruk and Kite bashed me on live TV? Did I ever tell you that?
No, man. What? I used to bring the eliminate me sign, and they never did.
so quick story. I went to a game. This is back in maybe 2016, 2017, probably. I think it was 16. Randomly went to a game. Me and my ex-girlfriend, we just bought cheap little bleacher seats. We went up and we sat on like the 4th or 5th row in the bottom of the bleachers in left field. Just went for a night game, just chilling, right? We're sitting out in the bleachers, and some no-name, I couldn't even tell you who hit it. It was just some no-name that we had at the time. Comes up to bat, and I'm just, I'm looking on my phone, not thinking anything of it. Next thing I know, you hear the crack of the bat, and I look up, and I'm like, well, that's coming right to us. So luckily I brought my gloves. I put my phone away, stick my glove on, and I'm ready for this thing. And it's like 2 rows in front of me. So it gets over the wall, and I reach over. I try to backhand it like an idiot. So I reach over to backhand it, and it hits me right in the palm of my hand, and it bounces out. Right, I missed it. It bounced, went back into the field. Dude, Kruk and Kipe had a field day with me. Next thing I know, everybody around me starts buzzing, and I'm like, what's going on? And my phone starts going off, and my family's texting me because they're watching the games, and my friends, they're like, dude, they're talking about you. Next thing I know, Kruk and Kipe send a camera crew down there, and they put this camera right in my face. And I remember this is when we had McCutcheon, so it might have been like 17. So I had a shirt that said Kutch, and it was like a giveaway they had for him. And so Kruko, they point the camera at my shirt, and Kruko goes, Kutch, more like can't catch, and they post it right back to my face. And they just clowned on me for that whole bottom half of the inning. Dude, I was such a little wimp and got so offended. They made me leave that game because after the camera crew left, apparently they kept talking about it on TV. Everyone in the stands was like, "What's up, can't catch?" And I was like, "Dude, I want to go home. I'm over this." So yeah, that's my fun story. I was like 19.
That's fantastic.
20. Yeah, so I got clowned by Kruk and Kipe on live TV one time. So
yeah, that's amazing. You gotta see that's the one you gotta record. You gotta get the recording of.
I know. I wish I had it. That would have been a blast for me to share. Yeah, good times.
Awesome. You're just playing that when they ask you if you're fine and you say you're fine, but you're not fine, and whatever that soundbite is.
Yeah, that's accurate. Yeah, but yeah, I got clowned on by them. Some good times.
Yeah, nice. All right, well,
just wanted to share that little story before we go.
No, that's a great one to end on. That's phenomenal. Everyone, like I said, like, subscribe. Dan will be back with me next week. Yes, I actually, little one of my wife will be out of town for like a week and a half, so I might just pop on live shows for like a week straight. We'll see. But we'll definitely be on next week. Ricky will be on that Monday following, for sure. So catch us on those, and then I'll just probably keep pumping videos out every few days here. So
yeah, we'll do it.
Appreciate everyone sticking around.
We'll do it weekly. I'm going to be on vacation in July, so I might miss 1 week. So don't miss me too much, bro. Yeah. But no, I'm
going to be in Bandon Dunes for a week, so I won't be here in July. So you might be carrying. You guys might just get Dan, and maybe I'll just make him pull one of the other boys on.
Yeah, you might just have me for a couple episodes. So yeah. you guys will love it. I'll bring the content. Yeah. But no, appreciate everyone. Everyone that was in the comments was awesome. Like carrying the show. It was cool. Tonight was fun.
Yeah, you guys make it a lot easier. Let me just put it that way. We always have a couple things we want to talk about, and then and I usually just say, and then whatever they want to talk about. So You guys carry it. You guys make it what it is. So I appreciate it every time. So on that note, we'll catch you guys all next week. And, thanks for joining us.
Yes. Have a good night.
All right. Later, everyone.